Good to be here this morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is David Walls. I'm the Director of Operations for Texas Values and Texas Values Action, and I just wanted to share with everyone this morning just some of our experience and learned experience on some of the ways to effectively communicate with your legislators here at the Capitol, and even when you're not here at the Capitol away. One of the overarching principles that we like to reinforce with folks is so many times government belongs to those that show up. That clearly is the case when during the election season, and fortunately we had a lot of our like-minded folks show up this last election and had some pretty resounding victories. But it doesn't just end there, as many of us know. It makes an impact here at the Capitol, who shows up, and it is critically important on some of the key issues that we work on, that our legislators hear from us, hear from people from their district on these important issues. If I was to, not surprisingly kind of list the most effective ways to communicate with your legislator, the best way obviously to do it would be here in Austin and to meet with them in person. That's always kind of the gold standard, if you will, of doing that. After that, it's probably making a phone call, talking to someone directly in the office, then followed by an email to the legislator. But one of the resources that our organization, going back, has put together for a number of years is a guide called the Texas Legislative Guide. We're working on, now that the committee assignments have been finalized, we're working on getting this finalized and having this available for folks. And I'll give a short little plug here. We will definitely have copies available for everyone that attends the Faith and Family Day, which is coming up on Tuesday, February 24th, that pretty much all the organizations here are helping host at the Capitol. So we will have them available there, and we will also continue. We'll bring them to these meetings and others, and encourage folks to take those and to bring some copies back to their Tea Party groups or other conservative organizations that maybe aren't able to get here to Austin. But the booklet is a great guide that goes through a little bit of how the legislative process works. It has all the contact information of all the elected officials, their committee assignments, and it also has some tips in here on how to on effective ways to have a personal meeting with the legislator. One of the most important things that we would recommend you to do is, if you do have the opportunity to come down to Austin, to call ahead. Call your legislator's office ahead of time. Try to schedule a meeting, if at all possible, with your legislator. Be prepared that you might end up having to meet with staff, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you'll be able to meet with a staff person that has maybe closely following the area of issues that you want to talk about, so they may be the most knowledgeable person in that office on that particular issue, and it may be very effective to talk to that person. But just some tips when you get into the office. You want to know your facts. You want to be thorough. You don't have to be an attorney, certainly, but you want to have a general idea of what you're talking about, and you want to have maybe 2 or 3 key points about why this legislation matters to you and why it matters to your district. And it's always a great idea if you're going to talk on a pro-life bill, and you've got a family connection that really makes that story personal. If you can bring your family, your adopted kids or whatever, a personal story that you can make the connection, I think is one of the most effective ways to leave a lasting impression. You want to be concise, you want to be well organized with your thoughts, and you want to be kind and gracious. I know sometimes with everything that's going on, especially at the federal level, we can get upset about the way some things are going on. But I really encourage you to be as positive and encouraging as you can when you're meeting with your legislators. Bring with you a one-page kind of summary of the specific bill that you're talking about, something that you can leave with them, and because that's very important as well. A couple other things that I would just recommend for folks is to make sure that on some of the other kind of down the line other ways to communicate. Our organization, I know all the other organizations here, Texas Right to Life, the Homeschool Coalition, CWA, we all do try to do a good job of sending out up-to-date information, mainly via email, on some of the important pieces of legislation that we're working on. So I encourage everyone to get signed up on as many email lists as you can handle, especially during this time of the year, because it's extremely important to get, as we were talking about just earlier with Tony, the most up-to-date information that you can when you're coming down here to meet with the legislator. I would also, sometimes we'll send out a recent example for our organization is we sent out an action alert on a bill related to marriage, House Bill 623, filed by Representative Cecil Bell, called the Texas Preservation and Sovereignty of Marriage Act. And this bill has to do with prohibiting state and local government employees from recognizing, granting, or enforcing same-sex marriage licenses, as we have unfortunately seen some threats of this here in Texas, and with everything else that's going on in the marriage issue. And so we sent out an action alert through our system where you can literally just log into our system and it'll directly pull up your elected official, and we'll provide you an opportunity to contact them directly by email. That's a great way, and those points of contact always make a difference. But if you have the ability to make a phone call and to directly talk to someone in the office about that, we highly encourage you to do that as well. You want to always remember that your one voice when you're here, when you're making a phone call, even when you're sending in an email, your one voice represents hundreds, if not thousands, of other people in your district. And the legislators and their staff know that. Most people don't follow what's going on down here at the Capitol. And so when you take time to contact them on an issue, you are representing a larger voice of people that they know are from their district, probably support what you're pushing. So we highly recommend you to take advantage of those type of opportunities. A lot of times when we send out an action alert, we'll put a kind of a very concise recommended way to email your legislator. And that's fine if folks just want to go in there and send that along, but it's always great to come in and take what we've sent, edit it a little, add your personal story, and to send that in as well. I think that probably about covers it. We have any questions or any other comments? Yep.
Have you ever considered putting together little blurbs for people back in the districts to use to write letters to the editor? Take something and maybe modify it a little bit, edit it, and then send it in as a way of promoting?
We have done that in the past. We haven't particularly done that recently, but I do think that can be an effective way for folks to get their message out, especially in some of the smaller town newspapers and other things that are more willing to put viewpoints that we would agree with than maybe some of the larger newspapers would. Certainly, that's an effective way.
So what are the things folks should be aware of when walking into legislators' offices? In terms of dealing with staff, what are the ways your time can be sucked away?
Yeah, absolutely. When you walk into a legislator's office, you want to identify yourself. You want to sign in, if they have a guest book, and let them know. But just know that a lot of times, as we call, there might be some delay tactics that legislators and staff are kind of trained to use to tell you to tell your life story, or they want to share their life story with you. As I was saying before, have some talking points from our organizations. Pull some together that you're comfortable with sharing, and in a very kind and courteous way, make it clear that you're there to specifically talk about this bill and point the conversation that direction to the extent that you can. And be prepared, always be prepared that you might get some questions. some questions about why this is needed, what the purpose of it. Be prepared to respond in an intelligent manner back with some questions. But you definitely want to have kind of your plan of attack, so to speak, when you go into the office, and be prepared to be very kind and courteous, but very direct about why you're there and in the issue that you're talking about.
I'll just add
Yeah.
an explanation
Sure.
part to that, and I'm new at this,
Uh-huh.
and I had heard that several months ago. I
Yeah.
think when I went to a workshop up in Dallas, and my page of notes, and I have now seen that firsthand, and it's so cool to recognize it, and recognize it the first time and the second time it happened, and then it was just neat. And then that, probably of all the advice that you guys have given on that being effective, that was the one that I probably wouldn't have thought of. And I am such a chatty Kathy that they would have sucked me into that. But
Most of
being
them.
forewarned on that was
Yeah.
really good, and that was probably the most important thing I got from a number of these presentations was, and it's so obvious when they start to do it, and if you know it, then.
Well, and some of this, some of them got some pretty cool stuff,
Oh,
in their
yeah.
office, and and I'm not saying you don't want to, obviously try to form a relationship, but especially as we're getting further along down the line in the session, everything's going to get tighter and tighter and compacted.
They were
It's-
wanting our input on the decorating of Tammy Pirtle's office window or something.
Yeah.
She was trying, it's like, we only have a few minutes, and, but yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, very important to be aware of that.
Just one other thing I've heard you say, or
Yeah.
Jonathan say in other meetings, is if you don't know the answer to the question, don't make it up. Say, I'll get back to you, and then when you do, they're always surprised.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed, when I go into a Democrat's office, almost always, someone will get a piece of paper and a pencil or pen and sit down and take notes. And I have their full attention. And I don't find that all the time in Republicans' offices, where I spend most of my time. And if they're not writing something down, what would be wrong with saying, I'll wait till you get a piece of paper to make note of this?
That's one way. And that's why I certainly would recommend, some people, it is a good idea, they remember when they write down. But if you have something, one page preferably, that you can leave in their office as a takeaway, that might accomplish the same.
Well, I
the
like to
same
do
way.
that and
Yeah.
have mostly white space on there,
Yeah.
so they're sure to read
Yeah.
the bullet points and
Yeah.
such on there instead of a awful print. So I support that idea
Yeah.
completely.
Thank you, Deb, very much. Appreciate it.